Welcome to another episode of Straight Out of Camera. Today, I'm talking about another black and white recipe I made on my X-T1 called Street Spirit. At the time that I made this, I had just finished a couple black and white recipes on my X-T1 that were higher contrast with some increased sharpening. So I wanted to create one that kind of went the opposite direction, that had a wider dynamic range and had the sharpness settings set to a lower value. Something that matched the vibe of a lower contrast film. So a little softness and lower contrast were the two main goals with this recipe. Just like with all my other recipes in X-T1, obviously this is what it was designed for, but these translate great to every camera that came after it and should work pretty well with any other camera with the same sensor that the X-T1 has. So obviously black and white film simulation is the base. This specifically is the black and white plus the yellow filter option. And like I said before, wide dynamic range and softness were the goals. So I set those settings accordingly to help achieve that. Oftentimes I'm out shooting in midday sun. You guys heard me talk about this a lot. And the contrast is often provided by the situations. I mean, in situations where I have buildings or trees that are casting really harsh shadows because of where the sun is at. So I'm starting off with a really intense contrast scene. So having a film stock or a setting like this to give me a little bit more dynamic range, to give me a slightly flatter image to start with is always nice. Even though this is straight out of camera, sometimes even with these JPEGs, you can go back and tweak them a little bit just to increase some of the contrast and some of those finer details if need be. So starting off with an image that has slightly lower contrast is not a big deal. One of the biggest positives about this recipe is having confidence that for the most part your images are going to be shareable right away. On some of my really high contrast settings, sometimes I'll see a shot that might be just too dramatic for the effect I was going for contrast wise. So then in those situations, that's when I'll just have to go back to the raw or try to adjust the JPEG to get the image to look how I wanted it to look. Since this one has that wider dynamic range, there's a bigger window for me to play around with, and I can have confidence that even my JPEGs are gonna give me a good starting point, something to share right away even. Although I designed this in summer when it was hot and sunny and I was shooting in midday a lot, I am interested to see how this translates to some of these fall and winter days when there's a lot more clouds, where I can get some different looks on my city and street scenes. So if you love shooting black and white and you're still building out your film simulation recipe collection, add this to your black and white settings on your Fujifilm cameras and give it a shot and let me know what you think. Like I said, I don't mimic any certain film stock with these. I don't label these as film stock emulations, but this one does kind of give me an HP 5 Plus vibe, so that's pretty cool. Try it out for yourself and let me know what you think, and like I always do, I'll put the recipe settings in the description below, and I will also put them on my blog, and there will be a link to the blog in the description. This and a few other black and white settings are already on my blog, and I have one or two more black and white recipes for the X-T1 that I will make videos for soon. So thank you as always for watching. I appreciate all my viewers and all the subscribers. I am knocking on the door of 900, which means 1,000 shouldn't be too far behind. So I appreciate all of you, and I'll talk to you soon.